Welcome back to the second episode of the Dan and Tyler Show. I am Dan.
Tyler.
This is Tyler. And
What's up, everybody?
we have a special guest today, Corey Knight. Thanks for joining us today.
They paid me in steaks.
We definitely did not.
Don't worry, Glenn.
What? Yeah, they were definitely not Janats. I think it was Market Basket.
Oof. Yeah, hopefully Glenn's not watching. Anyway, thanks for coming back, tuning in. Another Wednesday night. Like I said, last episode, we're going to be doing this every single Wednesday night. Here we are on Wednesday night.
Or until the funds run out. Whichever comes first.
Right. So, we have, like I said, special guest today. This is the owner of Ultimate Bimmer Services. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be asking you a series of questions of pretty much how you got started.
You want to give a little background on what Ultimate Bimmer Services is and does?
Exactly.
Okay.
Do you want me to do that right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I could do it. I think I have a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
We're going to give him a shot. Go ahead. We'll give you a chance. No.
Wait, myself or Dan?
You.
I mean, I think he should.
This show is about you. Go ahead.
No, it's not.
You've been working there longer.
All right, so that's true.
I would hope so.
Yeah, so we're an independent BMW repair facility that we're kind of dabbling in sales and just trying to give the true BMW premium experience and I don't know, I don't want to slam the dealership. How do I do that? We do our own thing here. It's good. We have an awesome team and
You fill a niche.
yeah, I feel a niche. Yeah.
You fill in a nice area where
Yeah.
the dealership can't.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. A lot of our clientele are beyond the dealership, not in a negative way, but they're just not the clientele that's going to take their car to the dealership. And a lot of enthusiasts too. You know, people take their cars to the track and want
Very passionate.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
People who drink the Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid.
No.
I like Kool-Aid. What are we drinking? Purple? Red?
And you've been
BMW.
You've been in business
I
now
like
for
it.
7 years?
Roundel Blue. Yes.
7
Yes.
years.
7 years.
7 years.
7 long years. Actually, no, it's actually gone by really fast. I can't
Yeah.
believe it's already been 7 years.
Yeah.
Every year goes by a little quicker.
They
I
say
think
That's what
just
happens
true
when you
in
get
life.
older.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
They say the first five's the toughest, so is that true?
I don't even remember the first 5. I
There
don't
you go.
remember yesterday.
You sound like my boss.
I'm
so.
focused on tomorrow. I don't have time to think about yesterday.
And you shouldn't. No one successful does.
Well, you gotta learn from your mistakes. So you
Yeah, but
gotta
you can't
take
go
that.
back, so.
No, you can't go back. No regrets.
No going back.
Not one letter.
So what made you want to start up the business? What made you want to go independent?
You know, I think I've just always wanted to own my own business. Like, I remember even, maybe not when I was a kid. I mean, in high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. But I can remember once I finally did get on the path of automotive, like the kids I went to school with, like there was 3 of us, myself, Mike, and Tom. And our goal was to actually do like a high-end shop, but also do like a speed shop. So we'd be doing like, you know, BMW, Land Rover, things like that. And then also do like hot rods that pull wheelies and that kind of stuff. And, you know, we all went through school and after school kind of all went our separate ways. And I thought, well, I'm going to go for it. And it was after about 7 years of actually working at the dealership. You know, learned as much as I could. And I was at a point where I was 30 and my wife was pregnant with our second kid. And I thought, if I don't do this like right now, I should just forget about it because it's not going to happen. You know, there's diminishing returns.
Now or never.
Yeah, if you wait too long and you fail. Dave Ramsey, I'm going to do a Dave Ramsey plug here.
Love Dave Ramsey.
Great guy.
Second episode
Great
of
guy.
He said,
but-
if you're going to go broke, do it before you're 30.
Yeah.
I figured, okay, well, if I do it at 30, it's probably close enough that it won't be a big deal. But it was one of those things where I had to have enough time to be able to recover if it didn't work. So I just kind of, I was fortunate enough to find the right facility that was renting and just kind of jumped on board. And that's just kind of history at this point. This is how it all started, just the drive of, oh crap, this is a dream of mine. If I don't do it, it won't happen.
Now here you are 7 years later. A lot of people say once you make it past the 5-year mark, you're set. A lot of people usually make it or break it at the 5 year.
I've heard it. It's like 90% of new businesses don't survive the first year, and then there's another 90% that don't make it past year 3. Maybe it was year 5. It's been a while since I've
It's
heard
definitely 5.
it. Could be. So you figure at those statistics, and I have no idea where those come from, but I've heard that same line from multiple people. Maybe it's a bunch of crap, but that means 1% of businesses that start make it 5 years.
That's crazy.
But it's realistic.
very realistic.
Most people start business because they're good at something, and they're not necessarily starting a business from the entrepreneurial experience They just do something because they're good at it. And they're like, well, I might as well get paid for it because I'm so good at it. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But there's a whole second level that if you don't learn and learn in a hurry, you're not going to make it. That's why 99% of businesses don't make it. And there's
100%.
also volatility in the market. You know, like you can start a business and a year from now, you have no idea what the economy is going to do. Or, say like, so we work on cars. What if somebody opened up a BMW shop 6 months after we opened up and we had like immediate competition? There's so many variables that you just don't know what's going to happen. But you can't let that fear of not knowing what's going to happen stop you from doing what you want to do. But do your due diligence and do some research. And don't plan on cutting yourself a paycheck for at least 6 months. Like that, like honestly, having money
crazy.
in the bank to live off of, because we started with no clientele.
Which is very hard to do.
And scary.
I didn't even have a business model. I just thought, I'm going to open a shop.
Did you think about any of this going into it?
I just knew it was something that I wanted to do, and I knew I was good at what I did. And I thought, well, naturally people will come. My first, which was terrible looking back at hindsight, is like, oh, well, if I just charge really low prices, people will come to me, which was terrible, a terrible idea. Because people equate price with value. So if you're charging half of what somebody else is, naturally, and there's nothing wrong with this is just the way the human brain works, they think, oh, you must be half as good as the other guy. So, and some people don't care. They're like, well, I don't care. I just don't want to pay this much. So
Right.
so you end up getting people who don't want to pay you what you're worth. And boy, this is going to be a lot of me talking in this podcast.
That's great.
That's
No,
what I
I
want.
like
It's
it.
okay.
We like listening.
Another mentor who was actually my financial advisor after the fact, he told me, because he had ran his own business, he said, run your business now the way you want to run it 10 years from now. In other words,
That's great advice.
don't plan on running your business one way and then as you build, try and change it, because you are actually training your clientele on how you do business. So I remember when we first opened, it was a partnership. We were originally going in being BMW specialists, and that plan apparently changed, and it was just a really hard split.
This
But
is
that
back
was
in 14.
back in 14, yeah, 2014, and so that was we had a buyout situation, and that's another thing I would say. No matter how good of friends you are with somebody, don't do business with friends as far as partnerships, because there are things that come out when there's stress involved with money. Money is the number one reason why marriages fail, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with a partnership. If you're starting a new business, it is stressful, and like if you haven't worked out all the nitty gritty, and if you are brave enough and you're like, no, it's not going to be a problem, I'm going to start the business with my friends, fine. Have an exit strategy and have it in a contract form that's signed, so that there's no question of it. If this goes south, this is how we're terminating it. I had to learn that the hard way, so learn from my mistakes so you don't have to. You can save yourself $50,000 free of charge. You're welcome. Where are we going with that? 10 years? Yeah. So basically, like, we started out working on everything. Well, we didn't start out that way, but we kind of bled into that way. And then I had to like retrain our clients that no, we actually don't work on that car anymore. And it's hard because you feel like you're letting somebody down because you're changing a service or whatever it is. That's
Sure.
just my experience. But have an idea of how you want your business to run 10 years from now and work that solution backwards and run your business to scale the best you can in that way now. It's going to save you headaches and time, and everything's going to be smoother. And also have a goal. Like, boy, you can be good at something, but again, find a mentor. Pay a business coach. Anybody who has experience in your field, who's made the mistakes and knows how the numbers work and how to run a business. And that's another thing. So we've been in business for 7 years. We hired coach at year 6. We got to a point, I run the shop with my wife.
Coach, what's that?
What's that?
Coach, you said you hired a business coach at year 6?
At year 6.
Okay.
We knew nothing about the finances of the business or the numbers. Basically, the way I ran the business was, well, I'm charging X, my expenses are Y. As long as there's money in the bank, then I'm fine. The problem with that is knowing your numbers, especially in like a service industry, and it doesn't matter whether, it's a restaurant, hotel business, cars, doesn't matter. In the service industry, and probably in every other business, so I'm just going to speak to what I know, the numbers are a huge indication of what's going well and what needs your attention and what's a real problem. So we can look at numbers now and say, okay, in this portion of the business, these numbers don't look healthy. And then we can work it back and see, why don't they look healthy? What are we doing wrong, or what? Maybe not something that's necessarily even you're doing wrong, but maybe the market's changed and you have to adjust.
Sometimes if you want to last as a business, the market's going to change and you got to be able to change with it.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
one of the best things that Janot's done over the years is that we've been in business 140 years, and you don't last that long without changing and
Oh,
evolving.
absolutely.
So that's something that's a great point.
Absolutely. And so it's, I mean, I've got all kinds of advice. Don't start a partnership unless there are very few people who partnership well. Bill Gates, he's been very good at having business partners. I mean, I don't know that they feel that way, but overall he's done well finding partners. And there are a few others. But it's hard because you have two hands on the steering wheel, and if you want to change direction, you've got to convince the other guy that that's a good idea.
And if you're both that passionate about
Yep.
that business, then it's going to be hard to. It
And-
can be hard.
And I have heard of business partners being successful where the partners do two separate things in the business. Like maybe one guy makes the widget and the other guy runs the finances and marketing. That's fine. That's more likely to succeed because you don't have two people focusing on the same thing with their own ideas.
It's like this podcast. I do the behind the scenes and Tyler's the brains.
Yeah, yeah.
He's joking around.
But yeah, so definitely like avoid a partnership if you can help it. Plan on having at least 6 to 12 months of expenses saved up in the bank.
Starting out or throughout the entire process?
Oh, starting out before you even
Yeah,
open your door.
yeah, exactly,
Before you
exactly.
have the money in the bank.
And then once you open up and you're running, do you increase that? Do you keep it the same, or what do you do from there?
I mean, it's as soon as you leave your whatever profession that you're doing and you're on your own, it's going to be a while before that cash flow starts coming back.
Of course.
I mean, that 6 to 12 months is going to dwindle, and you're just going to try and get off the ground, and hopefully you get your business off the ground before that money runs out.
Yep.
And if not, hopefully you have friends. You know what I mean? Like, so definitely no partners, have money in the bank. Also, maybe even potentially, like you're supposed to have a bit of business model. Okay, so like numbers of these are the numbers I want, or these are the numbers that I need to break it, and these are the numbers that I'm shooting for, and have a deadline of if I'm not successful by this point, then give up. As kind of demeaning as that sounds, but having that line in the sand saying if we're not making X amount of dollars quarterly or weekly or whatever it is by this point, that line in the sand is going to motivate you to
Yep.
make it happen. Because if it's just this ambiguous thing and you're just going to keep going until you're out of money, A, you're going to lose everything.
Of course.
And I mean, B, it's just going to be a terrible experience. But definitely get a business coach if you can, or find a mentor who knows something about business and numbers. Like we took our business for the first 6 years. We knew how to treat people. We knew how to fix the cars. Customer service is so important. And it's really lacking, I think, today in business. And I think part of it has to do with technology. I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? So like there's so many people who don't interface with actual people. So
Right.
people are actually losing the ability to communicate and to behave correctly around other people and give people respect.
Yeah.
I think a lot,
I would agree with that.
I'm going to show my age. It's the Facebook and the Twitters of the world. People live their life through virtual reality, basically, and
Yeah.
it's so that interaction with humanity it's changed. But you know how to treat people, and you're good at something. You still need to understand how numbers work and what your numbers have to be, and drawing that line in the sand will motivate you. Get a coach. And then if you're married, have a very understanding spouse. Make sure they're on board.
Be on the same page. You gotta be on the same
Yeah,
page.
yeah. Don't do anything. If you're married, don't do anything out without your spouse's approval, because then it's just going to be a wedge in your marriage. And that's
So I like your point about having a goal, and it's huge because I think that goal allows you to you're only going to make decisions based off of hitting that goal,
Right.
You're not worried about making all these other decisions that are going to affect your business. You have a huge goal you're after, hopefully,
Right.
to grow the
Right.
business, and you're only going to make decisions off making that goal. So it's going to allow you to kind of narrow your focus on what you're trying to achieve, not necessarily worry about all the other stuff going on that matters, but you can get so bogged up on it that you don't end up accomplishing much over a course of years.
right. And it's almost like a complacency can set in, where maybe you have a good month or a good quarter, so you kind of ease up a little bit, and then that starts a new trend, and
Yep.
the next quarter is not as good, and the quarter after that's not as good, and you've got some money in the bank, but it's dwindling, and you don't even realize it because you're not paying attention to the numbers. Like
Yep.
that isn't something that we experienced, but that's something that, I mean, maybe we did, and I just didn't even notice it because I wasn't paying attention to the numbers, But it's definitely a reality that I think that's one of the reasons why businesses don't fail. I think the biggest reason is people start business because they think they're good at something, because 9 times out of 10 they recognize that they have a niche for something and they go for it, but they don't understand business, and business is a completely separate
Skill set.
skill set. It is, and it's something that you can learn. It's something that can be taught,
Of course.
but man, spend some time. And you don't even have to necessarily, like I didn't go to business school. Like I originally started out, I mean, I had some college experience. I was originally like interested in psychology, and I wanted to be
Okay.
like a forensic psychologist and be FBI. And then I thought, well, if I want a family, that's a terrible job. And I was literally in all of my free time and all of my extra money was going into my project car. So it was like, oh, I've been doing this for years and I'm good at it. Maybe I should just go into this for a profession. So that's how that happened.
So you're passionate about cars, so then that's what drove you to
Like you just said,
go to
Oh, yeah.
school
you're
for.
good at something, so you
Yep.
Yeah,
decided to turn
that's
into
awesome.
well, you turned into a career first at a company, and then you went off and did it on your own.
Right.
But then you had to teach yourself and learn how to actually run a business on top of being passionate about something.
And then I feel like so now you have a coach. That was probably a really humbling experience to let someone come in and kind of
You know,
tell you what to do.
it wasn't humbling for me. It was exciting because there's this whole aspect of what I was doing that I didn't know anything about, and I was learning, and I was excited about the business. I mean, I've always been really passionate about the business and the things that we've been trying to do. And now there's somebody who, like our coach, he's coached 8,000 automotive shops. He works with roughly 120 shops out of whack, and he is very analytical and extremely good with numbers, and he just kind of spelled it all out. I remember we were taking a class. My wife and I did this Vision KC 2020, which was this automotive expo, and they have all kinds of classes from working on the cars, management, how to hire, stuff like that. And Heather and I had never taken business courses, and she had actually run her own fitness business for a while, and then we got married and had kids, and that kind of went away.
It's not just life.
Sorry, hon. Sorry.
Shout out to Heather if you're watching. Hey,
Hey, remember this guy? No. What were we talking about?
business expo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Vision 2020.
we decided we were going to take some management classes because we knew nothing really about. I mean, we didn't. Again, you know how to treat people, you try to do your best, but having somebody who has been through it and made the mistakes and learning from them, and if you can find somebody who'll just take you under your wing, great. Never stop learning. Never stop learning. There are always people that you will meet that know more than you do, and if you can humble yourself and continue to learn, you're going to continue to get better at what you do. Like, you never want to be the guy in the room that thinks they know everything, because oftentimes that guy in the room that thinks they know everything is the least intelligent person in the room, because they've capped their knowledge.
Yep.
They're just like, oh, well, I don't need to listen to you because I'm already doing successfully. Like, yeah, you might be doing successfully. You might be doing,
Yeah.
500,000 a year. The guy sitting over there might be doing 20 million a year.
You can never play the bigger game because someone's always bigger than you, smarter than you.
Absolutely.
You know.
And why wouldn't you want to take the advantage of learning from someone else's mistakes?
Of course.
Because then you don't have to go through them. So,
Of course.
I mean, I don't know. We've made.
That's my favorite piece of advice that I've ever gotten is throughout my whole life, watching other people make mistakes
And learn
saves
from
you
them.
time. You learn from their mistakes and you don't make them.
Right. So it fast tracks whatever you're doing.
Oh, so you were paying attention to my life.
What? Hey, we got you back on track.
He's
good.
having a rough day. He's been nothing but putting himself down so far.
I'm doing fine. I'm doing just fine.
Yeah. What time is it?
It is.
Okay. It's not mine.
You guys had some questions for me? I don't really know what happened.
No, this is great.
Well, first and foremost, we wanted to just kind of get
The insight of
the
who you
viewers
are.
up to speed on who you are, what you're
Yeah.
doing, and where you're.
Oh,
Now,
boy.
now let's talk about where you're going. Where are you going?
Oh no,
'Cause
we
you
got to
a lot
take one
going
step.
on.
We got to take one step back.
Okay, go ahead.
Do not go into business to make money. If that is your reason for going into business, you are going to fail because you're not going to be able to have the drive to get through the hard days.
That shouldn't
And
be your primary reason. It's a.
You have to know the numbers. To stay,
byproduct.
you have to know the numbers to stay profitable to stay in business.
Yes.
If you want to offer somebody an excellent service, a premium experience, you cannot offer them that if you're out of business.
Correct.
So the numbers are important.
Yep.
But again, your main focus should be whatever your service is, whatever your gadget is, whatever that thing is. I mean, if you are good at something and you get a little bit of education, you get some people, you get under the right guy's wing or girl, whatever, you're gonna make it. But if you're you have to be passionate about what you're doing, because I mean, there are times in business that it's like, man, I've got to go in and I've got to deal with X, Y, and Z, and it's really hard. Like, you want to talk about really hard? Start a business, be open for 3 months, and then go through a buyout situation that was not friendly.
A lot of people would just give up right there.
Yeah.
They
Uh,
wouldn't- yeah.
But you know something, when you're married and you've got kids, you can't do that. You have to. That's another driving force, I guess.
You had a family at home that rely on you.
Yeah, and I've never been one to quit. My dad gave me this backhanded compliment. He actually didn't give it to me. He told somebody. I was talking about me to somebody, and they said, "Yeah, Corey, he's the best person I know at smashing a square peg through a round hole."
Whatever comes your way, you make it work.
Well,
You get through it.
I am blessed. It's because you can have all the drive in the world, And they're people who have drive and they have talent and they still don't make it. So there is another element there. But yeah, you got to be passionate about what you do. And again, the money can't be the focus because your quality of service is going to suffer. Whatever your product
agree with that.
is going to suffer. And if it's not better than what everything else is out there on the market, I mean, if you are starting out, you have to be better. You have to have something that's going to attract people who don't know you, and you don't have a reputation at this time because you're not in business yet. They have to have a reason to come to you. There has to be something that separates you from the rest of the pack. But it can't, again, money can't be your focus.
I would agree.
So would Dave Ramsey. Hashtag Dave Ramsey.
Great guy.
So it sounds like you're a big Ramsey guy.
I am.
When did you first learn about him? Get on his? Yeah, did you go to FPU?
Yeah, Financial Peace University. For those of you who don't know, Dave Ramsey does this like personal finance guy, and he's a guy who started out with real estate. He had, I think, over $2 million worth of properties.
That's it?
At 26.
I think it was 26.
Yep.
Gosh.
And he was going after this loan, which he should have gotten, and for whatever reason, one of the banks that he was working with pulled his note.
Well, it was during, I believe, the late 80s, early 90s. When
For the crash?
Yeah.
Yeah, so-
I
and then-
want to say he
so
had a
then-
bunch of property, well, not a lot of money down. He was kind of doing
Right.
it quick and getting young and
Yep, and he was doing very well for himself.
very well.
But the first bank called the note, and so when that bank called the note, so did the other banks he was working with, and he was wrecked, financially completely destroyed. And his whole thing is now is doing everything out of cash flow. Like he's big on the debt snowball, which I highly recommend. Like it's
Go check him out.
yeah. Go check out Dave Ramsey at Financial Peace University. But we do. So we've done that for our own personal stuff. We've like paid off all the debt except for the mortgage, and we were chewing away on that. But when you're in business, very few businesses can start out without borrowing money.
Yes. It's very tough to do that.
Yeah, and there also comes a time, again, if you're following like kind of like the Dave Ramsey thing, where if you're going to go broke, do it by 30. That doesn't give you a lot of time to save up cash to do it out of cash flow. I mean, some businesses, I mean, you can start a lawn company, right? And you're not going to have as much overhead as if you're opening up a BMW shop. I mean, that's just the reality, and you can do well there. So depending on what your market is, it's easier to get that capital beforehand.
Sure.
You know, and some people win the lottery, but it's not me.
Less than 1%.
That's true.
It's true.
Yeah, significantly less. I think you have a better chance of being struck by lightning
Twice.
twice.
Then win the lottery once.
I'd play the lottery, but then I'd have to buy a ticket. It just
I
doesn't
hate the
sit
lottery.
well with me. Having to pay $1 for something I know I'm not going to lose anyway.
Yeah, working at Janot's, I used to cash out everyone who would. Some people would buy up to $100 in lottery tickets.
Yeah,
They would never
that's
win.
that's sad. And I mean but that's an addiction too, right?
It is. It's you get that one moment in your mind when you're thinking about, oh, I win $100 million, and it kind of provokes you to go do something you really shouldn't do and buying all those tickets.
Hashtag Bitcoin. Mortgage the house, everything. Buy some Bitcoin.
50
You'll
X.
thank me in 10 years. I'm a big proponent of cryptocurrency.
Mark the date, 7/14/21.
That's a whole nother episode. We'll
Yeah.
touch on Bitcoin.
Yeah,
in
we'll-
another
we'll
episode.
We'll go into that
So
detail. In more
we can do a whole
details.
thing on how to get capital for your business, and we'll talk about cryptocurrency.
So starting out, you were a lot of the day-to-day stuff. So now you're more picture. You kind of taking a step back.
Let's talk about the day to
Huge.
day. Let's
No,
talk
let's
about
not
the
talk
day
about the
to day.
day-to-day
Wait, how much time
stuff.
do we have? We got time. So, when I started out, so the partnership failed. So at that point, my wife had her own business. She was still doing house stuff. She was like 7 months pregnant when I said, "Hey, I need a little help." So she would run the office, and I would work on the cars. And
Okay.
cars show up and they're broken, right?
Sure.
Some of them don't start. So I would have my 8-9 month pregnant wife helping me push cars into the shop.
That's commitment right there.
Oh yeah. I'm sure the people driving by thought that's responsible.
On a very main road in Nashua.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 38,000 cars a day for traffic going in.
Yeah?
That's a lot.
Yeah. There's a lot of visibility. That's another thing too. I mean, chances are you're not going to be able to buy starting a business, but if the location, get a good location. I mean, if I had started my shop on the back road in some old steel building that looked like a chop shop, it would not have succeeded.
They say
So you've heard-
location.
Yeah. You've heard me-
Location.
It's true.
You've heard me talk about this a lot in real estate. The one thing you can't change about a real estate location, you can change the countertops, you can change the windows, you can change the roof. You cannot change where that location is. So
Unless it's a trailer.
I don't buy trailers.
Why not?
Double
you can,
wides?
You can move them.
You can do
Actually, a
those.
valid point. I like that.
Double wides are good down in Florida. You can invest in those.
Just buy a whole park.
Now you're talking.
You laugh,
Thinking big.
but we think about that. Just having like a compound of all of our friends in it. Well, okay, we're getting sidetracked. Anyway,
No,
So-
so location is very vital.
yeah, you want to be in a location that's going to support your market. You know, you don't want to be right next door to the guy that's doing the exact same thing that you are. I mean, that's kind of rude, Just, and really audacious.
It's like the gas stations you see either across the street or even right next to each other.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, but everybody needs gas.
Yeah, that's
so
it.
that's a market that's actually okay because everybody driving on the road needs gas.
Or every time you see Dunkin's, what's across the street? Starbucks. Every time
Yeah.
you see a Walgreens, what's across the street? CVS.
Lowe's and Home Depot.
well,
Yeah.
there's
So
a,
sometimes I guess that is okay.
there's a
but I see
specific
what you're
spot.
talking about. With your niche,
Yeah.
what you're doing, when you only work on BMWs and
Yeah, because that's what set us apart.
Exactly.
You know, there were in a half-mile radius or maybe a mile radius. You have 10 other independent shops that work on everything.
correct.
So if we worked on everything, there would be nothing to distinguish us from the rest of the independents.
Going back to what you said before, is
And-
have something that separates you in the beginning from everybody else that you can offer them.
And capitalize on a skill that you have. So we were master BMW technicians. That was a skill that we had that we were very good at. You know, so there was opportunity there. There was also not another BMW specific shop in the town. There still isn't. You know, but it's us in the dealership, so it's worked out very well for us.
Well, there's
and
no one
don't
incomparable in the region. So
I don't mean to sound proud, but you know, I believe we offer the absolute best service. I think we have some of the best employees, and I think our employees is another huge reason why we're successful. That's another thing. Like, you are going to grow, and you want to get ahead of it. You want to hire the right people. You can have one of the things that you want to focus on, besides the numbers, because the numbers are important, but culture. If you have 5 rock star employees and you have 1 rotten apple, you're going to spoil the barrel. And it's going to take time, even after you get that rotten apple off the team, to fix the culture.
Do yourself a favor, get rid of the apple as soon as possible.
Oh, yeah. Oh, don't even hire them. The best way,
Yep.
and now we're getting ahead. So now we're talking a few years down the road,
Yep.
you've got some success and you need to bring on
You're starting to staff
a
the
larger
place.
team. Do not just have one interview to hire somebody. Have several interviews. Have a phone call interview that's just like, okay, testing the waters. It's like a drive-by. Do I want to shop there kind of a thing. Have, and this is something, again, I learned from Dave Ramsey. Have an initial, sit-down interview, no more than half an hour. Have them do a disc test to see what their personality is and how it runs with the rest of the team. We haven't done that yet, but for whatever reason, our team just works. It's like clockwork. We have an awesome team. And have dinner with them, with their spouse if they're married. Because they could be a rock star, but if they are married to crazy, and I'm quoting Dave Ramsey, married to crazy, it's just a matter of time before it's going to be a problem.
Yep.
So that's like down the road. But there's boy, if you want to do it, but learn from other people and just be ready. Be ready to be that 1%.
That's really good advice. I like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Dave Ramsey is a great guy.
Yeah, he is.
He's done okay.
He's done all right.
See the new building he built down in Tennessee?
No, but I've
His
seen
new
his
office?
house.
He's selling the house.
He's selling the house.
Yeah, the $14 million house.
Oh, I thought
They're
it was
building a new
more.
one.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry, they're paying cash.
Oh, of course. It's Dave Ramsey. Of course he's paying cash. But that's another thing, too. Dave Ramsey. Okay, so perfect example for a successful businessman, right?
Yep.
He went through something that was tragic that could have destroyed his marriage, right? Going bankrupt, right?
What do you say?
And
A baby on the way and a baby in his hand or something like that? Yeah.
Something like
He
that.
always talks about that, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and what did he do? He did something he was passionate about because he didn't want anybody to experience what he went through. And what his issue was he was over leveraged. So he teaches people to get out of debt. And, you know, now we're going to get a little biblical here. It's and I don't remember the verse, but the borrower is slave to the lender. If you have a credit card or whatever it is and you owe debt, until that debt's paid off, when you're working for the person who sold you whatever it was that you bought.
Whatever you have a lien on, you're working for them.
You're absolutely right. And, you know, I understand you need debt to accomplish certain things in life. Like your first house, you're not going to buy your first house cash.
There's smart debt and there's dumb debt.
Right. But, you know, less debt is better. But this is something that he was passionate about.
Yep.
And he was so passionate about it, and this was his driving force. And ultimately, if you don't have that driving force, if you're just like, oh, I want to start my own business, and, well, this looks like a business that's got some cash flow, you're starting off on the wrong foot. You've already got 2 strikes against you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we're talking about a really exhilarating honeymoon.
Yes. Oh, yes.
I read Dave Ramsey books on the beach all day.
Oh, that sounds like the most productive honeymoon.
We're going down to get married. We got married in Newport, Rhode Island, and we were driving back on a rainy day. Remember that, Dan? Coming home in the rain. And I was like, I have no idea what to do with money in my life. I said, I went to school, went to college, I got a degree. They never taught me to do with money. I have no idea what I'm doing with money. I need to learn how to handle money and be a good family. And I picked up a Dave Ramsey book, and we flew down to the Caymans, and I read an entire book in the sand. And
Now, how did she feel about that?
she was totally on board. So my wife's
Oh,
crazy
cool.
like me. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Wh-
Because
wh-
that could have gone like, hey,
well-
this is our honeymoon and you're reading a book.
So I want to emphasize what you said earlier about being on the same page with your wife and making sure
Yeah.
you guys are 100% have the same goals. because
Wife, husband,
That'll be whatever your spouse.
right.
So whatever it is out there, you guys need to be 100% on the same page because it will ruin you if it's not. You guys need to be.
It will become a huge sticking point in your marriage.
Yes, it
That'll be
will.
the source of all of your arguments, especially because starting a new business is stressful
and
financially.
it won't go away. It will
Yeah.
not go away.
So then, even if you're successful, you won't be able to share that success with your spouse because it'll be a sticking point. So you can have like, oh, I really helped this person out, or we hit our goal that was new, and you go home and you can't share that with your spouse because they're not on the same page with you.
Yep.
So even after you've had success, you're creating a wedge in your marriage. And guess what? Marital problems is not going to make you good at your job or your business. You need focus. You can't have that distraction.
Mm.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like both of you have been very blessed to have awesome women in your life to not only support you but work with you and help. Like you guys work together as a team
Yep.
towards your goals, which is
It's a
awesome.
partnership, like you
Yeah.
said.
Oh, yeah.
It's a partnership.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too, and this is more marital advice. Take divorce off the table and work through your problems, and don't split up your money. Don't
Joint-
have
I
any.
was just about to say, you need to have,
Yeah.
it's your money. The
Yeah.
second you get married, it's your money. It's
Yep.
together.
yeah,
Yes.
and be on the same page with stuff.
So
Like,
I drive my wife crazy. So every time we talk about a goal or plan, she's like, oh, or she's like, you just cut your lawn. It looks great. I said, it's our lawn. I said everything. And it drives her nuts. She's like,
you
stop.
still do it?
Oh, yeah. Still to this day.
How many years have you been married?
It'll be 3 next month.
Ah, she has the patience of a saint.
She's like, stop saying that. She goes, I know it's ours. I just meant your lawn looks nice, down to the most
So-
minute thing.
so
I'm like,
it's-
no, why don't you get behind? It's an idea. It's a team.
Yeah, it's
We're a
not
team.
your lawn; it's the lawn.
Yes. It's our lawn. It's our finances. So
Yeah.
it's another huge point is that
Yeah.
I believe in this strongly. I've had debates with this with close friends, and you need to have your finances together when you get married because it's going to allow you guys to be on the same page and accomplish so much more as a couple.
And again, coming back to finances being like the biggest reason for divorce, sit down and maybe one of you is a nerd or one of you is a free spirit, or you're both nerds or both free spirits, it doesn't matter. Sit down. Again, this is like a Dave Ramsey episode.
Isn't.
Yeah. And
You should sponsor this episode.
Yeah,
no.
Ramsey, if you're out there, sponsor this episode, pal.
Now we'll give him the first one for
2 million.
free, but next time
Now, he
Remember
knows
us.
he knows nothing's free.
Nothing's free.
nothing's free. No, you gotta do your charity. We're doing some charity for you, Dave.
There you go.
We're thinking
True.
about you.
You're welcome.
What are we talking about?
You were
Finances.
going marriage.
Marriage and finances. Something about hidden money. I don't know. Don't hide anything from your spouse. Oh, budget. Set up a budget. And a lot of people have this negative connotation about budget, but it's just having a plan for your money. So a budget doesn't mean you have to have beans and rice. It could mean that, but it could also mean steak.
It doesn't have to mean that.
Right.
It's a misconception that it has to be that. No, it's just you allocate certain.
Yeah.
You're having a plan for every single
Right.
dollar coming in.
right.
I think that's what
Right.
you meant, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's good.
You're welcome, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
And guys, please, let's just take a moment right now. We have a quiet moment. Please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button wherever it is. I'm not sure, top left corner, bottom left corner.
I think it's the bottom left.
It helps the show
Bottom
out, but like and subscribe. Hit don't like if you don't like us. We want to hear from you guys. Post in comments, whatever you guys want to hear. So
For those of you who have not figured out, this business-related podcast is in and of itself a business.
You're not wrong.
secrets out.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And it is no secret. Don't worry.
So, Corey,
We're going for 10 likes this video. Second video, 10 likes. It's ambitious, but I
well,
think we can
last
get
video
there.
we got 15.
Really?
Why would you?
18 likes this video.
Thank you.
I want 1,000
Much better.
subscribers.
We
by,
don't- and
by
we don't-
June 1.
And we don't care about the if you don't like me,
Being
put the
serious.
thumbs down. That's fine, but
That's
do
what,
something.
That's what I was saying. Like me
Yeah.
or don't like me, just watch me.
Yep. Several times. More views. We should do some funny faces and do some of that clickbait. You'll
Yeah.
never believe what
Yeah.
just happened.
That's how they get them.
Yeah.
That's how they get them.
All right, go ahead, Dan. You had a question?
Yeah. So I understand that Ultimate Bimmer is looking to expand. So I just want to expand on that for a minute.
Let's see what you did there.
So I understand the question is your business scalable? But as of right now, I don't think your infrastructure supports your
Scalability?
growing needs.
Well, luckily, infrastructure can change.
That is right. So let's expound on that a little bit. What's going on? So understand that we're looking to grow a little bit.
Let's just be clear. So Dan works for Corey at Ultimate Bimmer.
Dan
I
works
do?
with me at Ultimate Bimmer.
And they work together. They work together daily.
I work for him.
They actually hide me up in the office. I work
So-
out back. I see no smiles.
Back to what I was saying. He used to be day to day. Now I'm the day to day guy, and
Yeah,
him and his
and
wife are the
Jack-
big picture
yeah,
stuff.
And Jack and Paul are
Great guys.
other teammates who just rock it. They do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not kidding when I say this. I genuinely think that we have like the best technicians in the industry. Like these guys, like you go to places and they'll run a test plan and they're like, oh, fault code said this, so we're gonna throw this part at it. We don't do that. Like these guys, like they have that same kind of drive of I have to know why this car isn't working.
Yeah.
And consequently, that drive to know has made them much better technicians than the average checkout in the field, even for BMW
Yeah, because
specialists.
they're not there just to flag hours and make money. They're
No,
there to fix your
they're
car.
there to fix the cars, and part of it is just them having to know why it's not working the way it's supposed to. I think that's one of the reasons why they work on BMWs, because it's not like a Toyota or a Honda. It's a more complicated system, and BMW also has like the cutting edge of technology. Like the latest and greatest comes out in BMW. Like right now, all the cars have variable valve lift and variable camshaft timing. BMW has been doing that for years. And they've been doing it on a performance standpoint to make their cars more efficient and faster, more power out of a smaller platform. But now, because of all the EPA regulations, everybody has to get on board with this. BMW's already was 10 years ahead of the field, you know. So it's cool because
driving innovation.
It's also
they're
less
driving
carbon
innovation.
buildup.
Absolutely.
Also less carbon buildup.
With a Valvetronic variable valve lift, absolutely yes.
No, with all, I wanted to ask you this. I thought about this question on the way up today. With all the talk about car companies trying to move more and more towards their dealerships doing all the work, right? If you're heard, I see that a lot on like.
I've seen some negative ads that BMW
Yeah.
has run, and it'll show a picture or a video of this guy who they're depicting that he doesn't have a clue as to what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't want to associate that kind of employee with any business, but you know, whatever you would associate that with, is like, you don't want just anybody working on your BMW, which I completely agree with. It's funny, I actually didn't see the ad. One of my friends did. He's like, they're talking about you. And I looked at it, I was like,
No, they're not.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
No, they're
I would
not.
absolutely
Absolutely not.
agree with that statement. Don't take your BMW
Yeah.
to someone who doesn't know what they're doing.
I was literally talking to
Absolutely.
a client today about like how many cars we see that come in that are just wrecked because
other
people
people.
don't know how to work on them.
Yeah, and it's the same people who are trying to save a buck.
Yeah.
And I think this is true for the majority of industries. And I feel bad because this is usually going to be the guy just starting out who's going to be in this boat. But you never want to go with the cheapest guy. You know, you're not going to get what you think you're going to get, or maybe you're okay with that. But I mean, you cannot attract the right employees with the wrong salary or the wrong benefits. Like, we've got some of the best people in the industry, and they know it. They're not cocky. They're like super humble guys who never know what to talk to them. But they deserve more than just, you know, $10 an hour. And, oh, by the way, I'm going to give you Christmas off, but Thanksgiving you better be here. Like, they're not going to work there.
Of course.
So that
What kind of person are you going to attract with doing that?
exactly
You know what I mean?
right. So you're going to attract the guy who can't get a job but needs a
Right,
job, so
right.
he comes to
He
you.
doesn't want to work.
So expect to pay more for a better service. You know, I hate to say it, but that's really part of the way it works.
It goes back to the old gold model. You get what you pay for.
Yeah, it's
It's
true.
not always true, but it's 99%. I've found
Yeah.
so far, being in my adult life, it's 99% of the time it is true.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's this saying that I've heard throughout my entire career: "Pay me now or pay me later," and that has to do with like preventative maintenance or you
Yeah.
know, whatever. But like the saying can be true. You can think you're going to save 20% by taking your car to the guy who's not necessarily a specialist, but then when you have to take it to the specialist and he has to figure out what the other guy did and then fix your initial problem, you're like tripling what your expense and what your initial repair would be. In
What
some
the other guy
cases.
did wrong.
Yeah, assuming they didn't blow up your engine.
Right. But
Hash-
back to
hash-
my question though.
You had a question? I'm
Yes.
sorry.
So I was asked. We're talking about the
I don't know if you knew
scalability
this,
of
but,
the business.
oh, by the way, that's my first interruption for you.
Thank
Count
you.
it. Hashtag.
Appreciate it.
What were we talking about?
So we were talking about.
So
my-
next week on Ultimate Bimmer podcast, I'm
Okay.
gonna bring a guy you might have heard of him, Dan. He's gonna bring his friend Tyler, and we're gonna discuss business.
just muted you.
All right.
Live on location.
So, my my question was, so I asked if you were scalable. Obviously, you have grown beyond your infrastructure's
Right.
capabilities. How long have you been?
Boy, we've been in
Outgrown.
business for 7 years, and we started looking about 4 years ago, trying to figure out a way to either buy our current location and expand, or look at other locations. And
Was
we're-
it 4 years ago you realized you didn't have enough infrastructure to expand your business? or-
Honestly, I think 4 years ago it was just my blind ambition.
Okay.
I honestly think that's what it was. I thought, if I have a few more bays, I can hire, X amount of people. We can get more people in. We can get people, instead of somebody having to wait 2 weeks to get an appointment, we can get them in faster. We can get the work turned around faster. I think, so I guess part of it was blind ambition, but it was also wanting to provide a better service. Because if you're broken down on the side of the road, you don't want to call your service guy and be like, you mean I have to wait 2 weeks?
A lot of people, it's their only car.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or what if it's your summer car and it's broken and it's down 2 weeks before it gets in the shop, and it gets into the shop. and
Summer's
it's
over when
Another
the
week.
car's back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
Yep.
So I think a part of it was turnaround. Part of it was, and also if you're renting and your landlord sells the building you're leasing out of, and the new guy doesn't want you there, you're stuck.
Yep.
So how
So-
long was your first lease? 5 years or?
My first lease, he tried to put a 3-year lease on me.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, but what if we're not here in 3 years? And he was gracious. He worked with me. So my first lease was a year. And then it was month to month after that. It's been month to month ever since. And then a few years
Wow.
later,
Very unlikely. Very uncommon.
yeah, not common at all.
No,
But
no.
this guy's retired. I don't know, he had a little more leeway. He started out the same way I started out, so there was a little
Understanding.
less corporation involved.
Okay. Now, the whole other side of it, what Dan was talking to was, not only now are you trying to expand your business reach and business, what you're doing now, scale it, right? But now you're also kind of getting into the real estate game because you're trying to shop property,
Correct.
right? You're looking for a great location,
Yeah.
and you're not renting anymore. You're buying.
Well, so that's the thing too. Once you're established, like right now, I don't need the location I needed 7 years ago because I have a reputation and I have a name. So now I'm not just that place on Main Street. I'm a
Yes.
destination.
You have a
Absolutely.
following.
I have a
Absolutely.
following. People look for me. That's another thing for advertising.
Let's talk about advertisement.
Hang
How,
on.
how much has you? How much have you advertised
Like officially,
unofficially?
He wants to know how many dollars a year you put into advertising.
well, we tried radio a few months back, and that did not work for our business at all. It was
Okay.
expensive, and we didn't get a single client in the door, new client anyway. And before that, when we started, my wife and I would go on dates on the weekends, and we'd go out to dinner or whatever. And then we would take our business cards and we'd put them just above the door handles in people's cars, specifically BMWs, because that's what we were working on. So in the automotive industry, that's really easy. If you're specializing, you just put your business card on a car you want to work on. Obviously, it's probably a little harder in some other niche, but
Yeah.
it worked. And it was, you know what it was too? It was unique, and it gave a personal touch. It wasn't like a mailer blast, which, we still, I think now we're just starting to get into marketing, because in the next facility, and we're going to be growing our team, we're going to try and get the word out there and continue to grow our business. But because we honestly feel that we offer superior service, and I think that's the rub. You either have to, you have to believe in what you're doing is right and it's better, and you're helping people, in one way, shape, or form. Like, I'm not out building hospitals in South Africa or New Guinea or wherever.
Sure.
But I believe that the service that I am providing is helping people. They're getting better service from our facility than they would elsewhere. And I think part of that, too, is when you do have a team, you have to have people who care. Don't hire people that are just there for a paycheck. And some of this will come out in the interview process. And you have to figure out what questions that you're going to ask during the interview process to figure this out. And I'm not going to give mine away, just in case any future employees are watching. But you got to figure out something that separates the employees from the teammates, because the employees go up, they show up for work, they do what they have to do to get a paycheck, but teammates will grow with you and they'll push the envelope of what you can do, and you can always do more with the right team, whatever that is. Better service, serve more people, whatever your metric is. If you have the right team versus the wrong team, you're going to be way more successful. It's hard finding good people. It really is.
Absolutely. And getting harder.
Oh yeah. COVID has taught us that.
Yeah. So, but you touched upon it. But go back to the whole growth side of it. Go back to that for
Growth.
a minute. So, where do you want to be in 10 years? Go back to your
boy.
original thought.
10 years. So our next location, scalability. It's probably going to have double the number of techs that we are currently, double the number of service writers. I want to do more in used car sales. And you got to have a plan for where you want to be in 10 years. You have to have a plan. If you have a goal, you can work back to a plan, but it has to have time frames on it too. If you don't have time frames on, like, we want to hit this by this specific time. If you don't have a goal, part of that is time related. It won't happen because you
Absolutely.
can just keep pushing it off. Goals are huge when you're starting a business.
It's gonna be achievable, timely. It's all
Right.
yeah.
Dave Ramsey, what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But so yeah, so these locations you're now shopping. You have been for 4 years now, I think you said.
Correct. We
You
actually
must have,
purchased
like-
land. We purchased land and we started
Yes,
the
yes.
building process. And
But you must be with that thought in mind. You must be looking 10 years out, correct?
well, I think when you first start out, you really got to focus on what differentiates you. I don't think you necessarily have to look out 10 years because you don't know what's going to happen in 10 years. And when you're just starting out, that's so far away.
No, but I'm talking about right now. You're
Oh, yeah, me personally?
right now. Are you looking? Are you when you're looking at a shop or a location or?
I
Were you
am,
looking- were
yeah,
you
correct. I am not looking that something's just going to resolve the needs for today, but I am
Correct.
looking for something that's going to resolve our needs for tomorrow, the next year, the next decade. Yes, absolutely. And you got to be careful when you do that because you don't want to make a jump that's so big that you go under because you can't handle the increased overhead. So there has to be calculation there.
Correct.
And again, knowing your numbers is going to know what that line is of can I do this or can I not. You know, there are times in the market where the banks are willing to lend, and they will lend you more money than you can really afford. And then there are times in the market where the banks won't do anything for you.
Very true.
So you need to know your numbers. Don't rely on the bank to tell you what you can and cannot afford. That's dangerous. You know, and again, if you're like me and you're like, numbers. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are things like when you're building an engine, numbers are important, right? But like there's the finance stuff. Like it's just never anything that really interested me. But it's such a good tool for having a pulse on how the business is doing. It's really you need to do it. You just need to do it.
key.
The health of the business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, so we're definitely planning on not just our needs of the day, needs for tomorrow, and it's not only just like tomorrow, but like other opportunities. Like perfect example, if you're looking to buy a place and there's something that comes onto the market that is more than you can afford and it's bigger than you need, but it's what's available. Sometimes you gotta think outside the box. Like, hey, is there some way to subdivide this piece of property and I can rent half of it or sell off a portion of it? Like, and typically entrepreneurs are pretty good at thinking outside the box.
Yes.
Like there are some rules that just apply across the board. You know, the rules of numbers and how that works. The rule of if you are in the business for yourself and you are taking advantage of people, man, good luck.
Yeah.
You're not going to make it.
You
You're
won't
not going
last.
to make
That's what I
it.
was gonna say. You won't last.
Yeah. And rightfully so. If you are taking advantage of people or if that's your goal, don't bother. Work for somebody else. Enjoy your weekends and enjoy your nights because that's what you lose when you start your business, especially the first few years.
Yep.
It's all the time. Like we're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. That is not, those are not my hours, you know? And,
Well,
24/7.
and it takes a special
24/7.
kind of person to do that.
and you have to balance
Yeah.
home and work life. If you have kids, you have to make them a priority. You have to schedule your time so that, you know, Wednesday nights out, you know, for these 2 hours, we're going to play board games or whatever it is.
Yep.
But you have to keep a healthy work balance because you're going to work more. You are going to work more. So you have to be more intentional in your personal life. And you have to figure out what you can do to get out of the stress of the business. Like, because sometimes business is going great and it's fine and there's no stress and you're just growing and it's exciting. And there are other seasons in business that are hard. And if you can't figure out a way to get away from the stress and reset, boy, it'll cut years off your life. So that's another word of advice.
Yeah, no, it's, I think it's been a really good show of great advice, especially by Dave Ramsey over here.
Yeah, Dave, if you're out there,
You've helped out Corey quite a bit, apparently.
Like and
love
subscribe.
you, Dave.
You know, neither Dan and I are quite as far as our business life are far as long as Corey is in his business life, and
But that doesn't necessarily mean that I know more. You can
No,
have
no.
You can have
Not
5
at all.
years of experience, or you can have 1 year of experience 5 times. And again, like always learning is
Well,
so
I-
important.
You know, it's funny listening to you now for the last 45 minutes or so. I think you've got a great grip on what you know what you know, and you know what you don't know, and you're not afraid to ask for help on what you don't know.
That's so key
Yeah.
in owning a business because nobody was born with knowledge. You acquire knowledge
Correct.
as you go. So
Correct.
don't be that guy that's like, I know everything. You don't.
You also have to surround yourself with the right people too.
Absolutely. Don't surround yourself with negative people. Like that you need to surround people, especially with employees, but even just like if you've got family members who are like, oh, that's a terrible idea, just don't talk to them about your business because
Yeah.
it's just going to drag you down. And chances are you can do it. But if you've got like this whole negativity and people are like, oh, that's a stupid idea.
Yeah.
Well, if it works, maybe it wasn't that dumb after all. And if it didn't work, well,
Maybe they were right.
maybe next time. Yeah, maybe they were right.
Yeah.
But you never know until you try it.
You gotta try. You gotta try.
And you want to start out with the best foot you can. So
Yep.
you got like anybody that's negative and do your homework. And and I'm not saying you've got to research for 10 years before you do this because there's also diminishing returns that you have to take into account. You can't wait until you could, but I wouldn't recommend waiting until you're 60 to start your own business.
No, you could, but
Good luck.
you need time.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Do it when time's on your side. Do it when you're young and you have the energy and the strength and the
Yeah.
the ambition,
And you're dumb enough.
and you're dumb
Do it
enough.
when you're
Yeah,
young.
you don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
Very true. Very
Yeah.
true.
That's those are some pretty good points. I like that a lot. But I think we're gonna wrap it up here.
Yep.
Uh,
Another great week.
Another
Awesome
another
having
great.
you on, man.
Yeah. Thank you very much for coming on, Corey.
When can I pick up those steaks?
I think
Dan's got it?
I
Joe-
got
yeah.
Joe.
Josie
Joe?
will take care of you when you get
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Okay, Joe. Meet you by the fridge? Perfect.
No, I'll give them all three of them. Yep.
Not the venison though. That's
no,
mine.
no, that's Dan's. The three.
Yeah, I don't
to
want
the
venison.
left.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's been a great time having you on, man. Thank you very much for taking time out of your day and taking time away from your family tonight to come out here with us. And
Yeah, I appreciate.
The pleasure was all mine. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you very
awesome.
much.
Really
I
appreciate
think
that,
we
but
can
that's-
both say it was awesome having you on.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And you touched on some really awesome points and brought some knowledge to me as well. And I hope everyone else got something. But yeah, that's another episode in the wraps.
And if you didn't get anything out of that,
This
you
isn't
know
the
more
show
than
for
I
you.
do, we should talk.
Good job. You're next on the podcast. But tune in again next week. Next Wednesday, we're going to be on for episode 3.
Yep.
We again appreciate you all tuning in. And
Until next time.
Until next time.
And I will not be here. I have an appointment. But these guys are going to take good care of you. So
Yeah.
don't
Corey,
you worry.
Corey will be back at some point, but not next week.
Yeah,
not
ne-
next week.
Next time we're going to have you on. We're going to discuss Bitcoin and
We'll go into
get all your inside knowledge on the
So let's talk
Bitcoins.
about Bitcoin.
So
No.
anyway, no.
So we're talking about that capital that
And
you
it
need to
stops
start your
right there.
business.
And it stops right there.
No, thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah, have a great
have a-
rest of your week.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Have a great rest of your week. God bless and be great.
Be great.